You're welcome back to another episode, and this is the summary of the Nigerian movie Chief Daddy Part 1. Today's movie is about a man who has many concubines that never met themselves until his death. Madam Pat, Chief Daddy's housekeeper, is seen querying Chief Daddy's gate man who is sleeping on duty. She collects his ID. He runs after her, but she ignores him and leaves. He enters the kitchen where numerous persons are preparing different dishes. She leaves the kitchen and Chief Daddy's second wife, Kemi, calls. She asks about the affairs of the house and if her son is back from the studio. Kemi's son is seen in the studio recording a song. Mrs. Pat is seen with Chief Daddy serving him food. She tells him that she fired the gate man and employed a new one. Chief Daddy's phone beeps. He checks his phone and sees his son's music video and becomes disappointed. Chief Daddy's chauffeur is seen cleaning the car. Mrs. Pat walks up to him and asks him to take her to the supermarket, and he declines. She goes to report him to Chief Daddy and he follows. They argue in his presence and notice that he has slumped. They hurriedly carried him to the couch to give him some first aid treatment. Mrs. Pat calls Chief Daddy's personal doctor and tells him about the incident. He tells them to allow him get some air and not to move him from where he is, which they've already done. The doctor arrives and confirms him dead. Mrs. Pat faints. Chief Daddy's first two daughters are seen in their boutique convincing a woman to buy their fabric. The woman buys and leaves. They spend lavishly on jewelry with the intention that Chief Daddy would pay. One of them gets a call, moves away and picks it, but hears about the death of Chief Daddy. They quickly leave the boutique for home. Kemi, Chief Daddy's second wife, enters and asks about the situation, and Chief Daddy's chauffeur explains. She asks why she's the last person to hear about the death of her husband, and Chief Daddy's daughters tells her not to start an unnecessary argument. Kemi's son enters listening to music and singing loud, not knowing what happened. His stepsisters frown at his attitude and breaks the news to him. Chief Daddy's sister, Auntie Ajoke, rushes inside the building, goes straight to Chief Daddy's first two daughters and asks them what was happening. They break the news to her and she sobs tremendously. Kemi and son walk in on them, discussing about the will. Kemi gets irritated and says her mind. Auntie Ajoke warns her. Kemi's son interrupts and they shun him too. Uncle Tega, Chief Daddy's lawyer, begins to call Chief Daddy's concubines to break the news to them. He also tells them to come home to hear the will. Kemi's son is seen calling a producer to help him produce a hit song, as he would be rich soon. Afterwards, he heads to the dining section where other family members are seated. Kemi goes to welcome Uncle Tega and Remy, Tega's co-worker. Tega receives an urgent call and asks Remy to represent him in the meeting. Before Remy could go into the reading of the will, Chief Daddy's concubines arrive one after the other, and everybody is shocked. But Kemi was not having it at all. She gets furious and calls the other concubines illegitimate, but they handed over marriage certificates to her. Remy tells them that they are all family because Chief Daddy said so before his death. Remy begins to read the will. In his will, Chief Daddy apologizes for the mistakes he has made. He also says that if chaos arises before his burial, his will not be read, but if not, it will be read. He also assigns different roles of the burial arrangement to different members of the family. He also tells them to stay together in his house before his burial. The family members argue about different things. Remy leaves and chaos starts. His first son is seen with one of his daughters, talking on how to keep the family members at peace. They try to meet the family members personally, but it proves abortive. Kemi talks to her son of not partaking in the activities of the husband's burial. Auntie Ajake is seen trying to convince Chief's first two daughters to partake in the burial activities. They say no, but she tries to make them understand that they could use the budget as an opportunity to become richer. But for that to happen, they have to apologize to Kemi, but they decline. One of Chief's concubines tried to advise Chief's other two wives to use the budget as an opportunity to become richer. They badmouth her and try to beat her. She escapes. Some of the family members are seen very happy because of the budget opportunity. They are soon to be billionaires. The money for the burial didn't come as expected, which made them go for cheaper options. Mrs. Pat calls a casket vendor and they reach an agreement on a cheaper price. One of Chief's daughters hears this, goes to call her sister to come and negotiate with the casket vendor to help them get a cheap event plan and caterer. They reach an agreement at a cheaper rate. The casket vendor and his assistant is seen rejoicing over the huge profits they are yet to make. Mrs. Pat's daughter, who have been away for a long time in London, is seen with Mrs. Pat walking into Chief Daddy's compound. Chief Daddy's first son walks up to them and asks for Mrs. Pat's help, but then locks eye with Mrs. Pat's daughter. Mrs. Pat introduces them to each other and walks away. They hang out with each other in the compound. Mrs. Pat sees them through the window and gets excited. Chief Daddy's chauffeur cushions her excitement, but she says nothing. He walks out and sees them together. Daddy's generosity towards his family and people around him becomes news. The housekeeper and chauffeur gets excited because they are about to get rich. One of Chief Daddy's concubines starts to get attracted to Chief Daddy's first son, but gets angry when she realizes that he is hanging out with Mrs. Pat's daughter. Kemi's son tries to talk to one of his father's wives, who is in charge of entertainment for the burial, to let him perform on that day. She agrees on a condition. The day of the burial came. His family and well-wishers gather to bury him. The casket vendor and his assistant, who made themselves event planners, are seen supervising the ongoing activities in the burial. Their guests start to arrive. As the host of the event gives his opening speech, he is interrupted by a group of local music performers led by Chief Daddy's chauffeur. Everyone is surprised. The event planners are seen dragged by the catering service company and the decorating company, who they owe. The host of the event welcomes Chief Daddy's son to perform his hit song. He walks up to the stage and performs his song, which leaves some people satisfied and some people dissatisfied, but is only cheered by his girlfriend, He gives a shout out to his father's wife, who gave him the opportunity to perform. He vacates the stage. Amazing music starts to play. Chief Daddy's wife starts to dance competitively with their friends on the dance floor. The first wife gets angry, walks up to the stage, grabs the mic, and puts a stop to the event. Other wives fight her on stage. The burial turns out to chaos. Chief Daddy's family members are seen sad about the incident that took place. Some of Chief Daddy's family members are seen about to vacate the compound when their lawyer, Uncle Tega, comes in and tells them that they need to have an urgent meeting. Before the meeting commenced, Chief Daddy's first son stood and apologized to Chief Daddy's second wife on behalf of the family for what happened earlier. She accepts the apology. Then the lawyer reads Chief Daddy's will. His will favors everyone, including his housekeeper and chauffeur. Before the meeting ended, Chief Daddy's bankers walk in. They tell Chief Daddy's family members that their inheritance will be inaccessible until Chief Daddy's last wish, which concerns his company, is fulfilled. It turns out that he left them nothing because their inheritance is needed to make the wish come true. They all converse happily and reconcile, and Chief Daddy's first son marries Mrs. Pat's daughter. Chief Daddy's chauffeur is seen walking into the compound when a car parks behind him. A lady walks out of the car, staring at the compound. He questions her and she says nothing. Watch out for part 2. Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe and hit the like button.